everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shelly. I am a 6th grade teacher in Northern California. And as you can tell by the title of this video, we're gonna be talking all about how I became a teacher. So this video is in collaboration with a lot of other amazing teachers here on YouTube, and I'm gonna link the playlist down below. So after you watch this one, make sure you go down and check out everyone else's stories. I know I'm really excited to hear how everyone became a teacher and what that looked like for them. So before you leave, make sure you go check out that playlist. So as teachers that are on social media, we constantly are getting asked like, what classes did you take? When did you decide you wanted to become a teacher? And we're getting all of these questions. So my friend Megan from Too Cool for Middle School thought it would be a really cool idea to compile all those questions in one video and turn it into a tag. So here we are. I do have a video on my YouTube channel all about like my teaching story, which hits some of the things we're gonna talk about today. But I thought it would be kind of fun to participate and just kind of compare the two to see how my attitudes and things have shifted since I first started my channel almost 2 years ago, and now that I've been teaching for 3 years. So I'm just gonna jump right on into the video. We have here 10 questions, and I don't want this to be like a 30-minute long video. So I'm gonna try and quickly but thoroughly answer these the best that I can. But I tend to ramble, so sorry. Okay, so the first question says, did you always know you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you decide to become a teacher? I've talked about this before. I did not always want to be a teacher. Well, I think deep down, I always really wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't really come to terms with that until later on in my life. I went to school for kinesiology. My other passion is fitness and nutrition. That's what I was pursuing a career in. Graduated, didn't want to do it. And then after I graduated, I did some traveling, and I'm not kidding you, I was sitting in the back of a truck in Nicaragua, and I had just had an encounter with some amazing kids in Guatemala, and I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be a teacher. And so I came home, I pondered it for about 6 months or so, and then I finally jumped right on in. And that was about a year after I graduated from college, and it is one of the best decisions I've made, hands down, this far in my life. So number 2 says, what was your major in college? Okay, see, I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry. I majored in kinesiology with an emphasis in fitness and nutrition, which was nothing to do with teaching. So I get a lot of people asking me, what kind of classes did you take? Literally nothing that had to do with kids or education, and I'm still a teacher. So at least in California, you do not have to major in something education or child related in order to be accepted into a credential program. So I'm walking proof of that. The third question says, what kind of requirements does your state have for teachers? Did you have to do observation hours, student teaching, etc.? Okay, so if you're really new here, I teach in California. I said that in the beginning, and I can't speak for all of California because, to be honest with you, I don't know. I can only speak from my personal experience, and I know that my credential program was pretty rigorous compared to some of the online ones and some of the other courses and stuff that people I know took. However, as far as I know, in California, you do have to complete student teaching hours. You do have to complete, in my program, it was called the PACT, but pretty much it's performance tasks that prove you are competent enough to teach. So in my program, I had to do 3 semesters of student teaching. Now, not all of that was 5 days a week. At one point it was. I was in a 1st grade and a 6th grade classroom. So I wasn't required any observation hours, but I was required a lot of student teaching, which in my opinion is where I learned the absolute most. So if your program doesn't require you to student teach very long, I still highly recommend that you get out there and get that field experience. And then as far as testing goes in California, I know I had to take the CBEST to get into the program. I had to take the multiple subject CSET. And then after I finished my program, I had to take the RECA. And my credential is the CLAD, so I have an English language authorization. So I think I had to take another test, and I can't think of it right now. That was probably a really poor explanation, but I get questions about requirements all the time, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure you can Google it. But that was just my experience. All right, moving right along. So the 4th question said, how did you decide which age group, elementary or secondary, or subject you wanted to teach? This is great because when I first thought I wanted to be a teacher, I was like, I want to teach 1st grade, I want to teach the babies, that's what I want to do. As soon as I got into a classroom, I quickly realized that that was not the case. If you teach younger babies, God bless you, it's just not my jam. And it's funny, the more you teach, the more teachers you meet, like there's just people that are designated for a certain grade level, and that's great. Me personally, I didn't really know until I got field experience. The more I worked with the older elementary kids, the more I realized this is what I wanted to teach. So I taught 3rd grade for my first 2 years, and now I'm teaching 6th grade. I do love this age group. Now, with my 6th grade experience, I know now that I do not want to teach middle or high school, not because of the age. I think the age would be fine. For me, it's just subject matter. I really enjoy teaching all of the subjects and having a lot of flexibility in my day. And in 6th grade right now, I'm only teaching math and science, which is okay. I enjoy math and science, but I don't like teaching the same lesson over and over again, I'm finding. So that is how I know that elementary is definitely geared more towards somebody like me. There are people that would rather plan 5 lessons for the whole week and teach them over and over again. That's great, that's just not me. And we're already halfway. Okay, question 5 says, did you do any substitute teaching? Yes, yes, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that you substitute. Maybe even before deciding you want to be a teacher, because substitute teaching, to me, is harder than regular teaching. I have a video all about tips for substitutes that I will link somewhere up here. Definitely check it out because I talk all about my subbing experience there. But just the quick and dirty, I subbed before my credential program for, I want to say, 6 months to a year. I honestly can't even remember. And then after I completed my program, I subbed for another 6 months. And again, I learned so much during subbing because it's really, really hard. This is also another great opportunity for you to kind of figure out what age and grade level you enjoy the most. So yeah, highly recommend subbing, but it's tricky. So number 6 says, what was the process like to apply for the first teaching job you were hired for? So again, I can only speak from California experience. Here in my county, we use EdJoin. It's a website that I think many states do use. And on EdJoin, you can apply for as many jobs as you want to. For me, I applied to everything in my county. I did have my eyes set on my district because it's where I student taught, it's where I went to school. So I applied for any and everything in my district. It's really great because you create a profile and then you pretty much just click here, 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 and then send in your application. So it does take a little bit of time to compile all of your paperwork and your documents and everything, but once you have it in EdJoin, it's really, really easy because you can just send it all at one time to the places that you want to apply. Now on top of that, the schools that I was really, really interested in, I did follow up and I walked my butt down to the principal and I handed them, or at least the secretary, my portfolio, because I've always been taught and told that it is so much better to make a first impression face-to-face. And if it helped at all, I don't know, but that is just something that I did and I would recommend to anybody trying to get any job ever in the world. So that's what I did to get my first job. Number 7 says, were there any common interview questions you remember? Yes. I have a whole video on interview tips and I give sample questions, things that were asked of me. But every interview that I've ever been on, which is only like 3, I pretty much get asked the same questions. So here's what I've been asked. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Talk to us about your teaching experiences. How do you differentiate and support EL learners in your classroom? How do you challenge your gifted students? How do you set up your ELA and math blocks? What's your behavior management style? Describe a time you had a difficult student and what did you do to handle it? Describe a time that you had a difficult parent and what did you do to handle it? How well do you collaborate with others? Okay, you get the drift. Pretty much all the basic stuff that's covered in your credential program, you will be asked. My best advice for you is to list every single question you can think of before your interview and have something ready in your head. There is nothing worse than going into an interview, hearing a question and being like, especially the scenario questions. You always want to have something in the forefront of your mind that you can pull from. It makes the process so much less stressful and so much more successful. Okay, so number 8 is, what was the first teaching position you were hired for? Grade, level, subject, etc. This is pretty easy. So the first teaching position that I had was a 3rd grade position where I was teaching all subjects, ELA, math, social studies, and science. Number 9 says, what did you feel prepared for on the very first day of your very first job? And what did you feel unprepared for? And this is a really good question because when you're walking into your very first day teaching, you genuinely feel unprepared in every way possible, even though you're not. That's just how you feel. At least that's how I felt. But when I really stop and think about it, I did feel really prepared for my behavior management system. I spent a lot of time that summer really laying out exactly what I wanted my behavior management to be, what my expectations were, what my consequences were, because I knew if I had that locked and loaded and the kids could catch on to a routine and consistency, that would be my biggest challenge. So as long as I had that dialed in, I knew that the curriculum and everything else would kind of fall into place, especially as I got to know my team and started getting support from other teachers. But that was the one thing I did feel very, very prepared for, and I would highly recommend you feel prepared for on your first day. What I felt unprepared for was how to interact with parents and assessments, I would say. I felt like my program did an okay job talking about parent interactions, but you meet a lot of parents on day one, and I had a million things going through my head, and so I didn't really think about, oh my God, I'm gonna have to meet parents today. I was just thinking about survive. So that was the one thing that I did feel unprepared for, and I don't know if there was anything I really could have done to prepare for it, but it was definitely the thing that took me by surprise the most. All right, and the last question says, do you have any last bit of advice for people who are on their journey to become a teacher? My biggest piece of advice is multifaceted. The first piece is just breathe, and the second piece is reach out for help when you need it. Every single teacher has been in your shoes at some point in their career. Every teacher knows what the first day feels like, the first year, the first 2 years, the first 3 years. Everybody knows what you're going through, and every teacher knows how hard it is. So do not feel like you have to do everything on your own. Definitely reach out and ask for help when you need it. You will need it. None of us are superhumans, and none of us have all the answers right away. I don't think any teacher has all the answers. I think it's a constant learning curve. So if you need help, definitely reach out and ask for it. My only other little piece of advice would just be, don't overthink things. At the end of the day, it comes down to building relationships with your kids, loving kids, and wanting to do the best for your kids. So if you don't have a great day, a great lesson, just move on. Do not let the pressure and the stress that we all know can come with teaching dictate your career. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit about me and my teaching journey. If you have any other questions for me, go ahead and leave them down below. Like I said, I do have another video similar to this that I filmed a couple years ago. I will link that down below as well. If you haven't already, go ahead and make sure you click the subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos. I am so excited to actually be sitting down and filming. I feel like I haven't actually chatted with you guys in a long time, so it feels really good to be back. If you are in the process of becoming a teacher or just starting your teaching journey, you have my full support. I am here if you need me. Follow me on Instagram, you can DM me. I will do the best that I can to be there for you in any way that you need. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.